I'm Jeanne Wallace, and this is the POSH, Permaculture Solutions for Healing demonstration permaculture landscape. And this is sort of the entry. We're on the east side of the garage here, and this is our chicken pergola. And the idea was to save on building materials. We're using the east wall of the garage and building what looks like a pergola structure with the chicken wire hardware cloth between these salvaged 2x4s to create this pergola structure. Because it was a planting bed off the driveway, it's surrounded by concrete, so predators, digging predators, cannot access in. We have a little planting bed here with a wisteria started that does have wire under it so that no predator would come in. But this run for our usually 4, right now we have some extra chickens because we're cycling through, and we will harvest some of the older layers and as the new ones begin laying. But we were able to make this pergola with a bunch of salvaged materials, including this great older door, and it allows the chickens to have a run with a coop back here. We have our storage space and nest box. Reach in. Somebody has already gotten eggs today. No, there are some eggs, which is great. And then when it's muddy, you can just open this and throw in there. Oh, there we go. Throw in their food or scraps from the kitchen, some shells. Makes it a real nice way to have the laying hens. We had our meat birds in the apple orchard on the other side of the driveway here, but this is a nice spot for the layers. We have a very hot climate in the summer, so as the sun gets in the afternoon past the east side of the garage, this is all in shade, so it's been a wonderful little area for them to be protected from the elements. So on this side we are planting some sorghum. We had a really nice sorghum crop this year. We do have our cow peas in there as well. You can see those cow peas interplanted. There's a volunteer Russian red kale right beside it. And we're just trying to build biomass in this little area of the garden. We have planted 2 chestnut trees in here, one on either side of the sorghum crop. And they are just barely getting started here, but the idea of the sorghum is to feed the chickens. We do have a press, so we're going to press for fresh syrup of the sorghum. We may cook some of that down as a sweetener, or we may just use the fresh syrup as a good mineral source. So we have a fodder crop, a sweetener, and a way to build some biomass and build some good soil for the chestnut trees as the chestnut trees mature. So each year we'll sort of cycle through. There are also some nitrogen fixers in the back, still quite small, but sort of just layering this area as much as we can. Really excited to get those chestnut trees, which will also give us more shade for the chickens. As well, we can let the chickens out to get the drops and any nuts that we don't take. If the chestnut worm, if that infests this area, the chickens can actually be used to clean up as a natural way of dealing with that pest if we develop that pest later. But welcome to my garden, and why don't we come check it out? When I moved here 15 years ago, there was no landscape. There was a flat bit of dirt in the back. So this is a year of living and studying and observing, and we knew we wanted a fire pit, so we dug 6 of them in different locations and had a fire for a couple of nights and sat around to see what felt right. So a lot of zone mapping and really learning this site. I had gardened for 10 years in Central California. I'm at 4,900 foot elevation here. We're under snow from November through March usually. That was all new for me, so really learning the environment before we put it down on paper what we wanted and developed the landscape. It is always changing. The idea that it will be done one day, I find that very interesting. It's like, having your permaculture teacher tell you, is like, imagine what will be mature. It's like, there's no such thing as it will be mature. It is always a snapshot in time, that one place. So you're really reinventing the garden, and you're maturing with it and revising it throughout time. So this was designed to be a retreat space. I spend a lot of time at work with my clients. I work with cancer patients, and have spent a lot of time researching and working a lot. I really needed a space outdoors that would pull me outdoors and be also a retreat space for the clients who come and learn about food and nutrition and health and gardening and permaculture in this space. So we have this first berm is that you can't see it, but my house is buried to the left here, to the west of us, behind this this dogwood is also the dogwood. This being the shady side of the house on the north side is where the dogs go to escape the heat. This is really wonderful. These dogwoods also turn bright. It's a red osier, so the sticks turn bright red in the winter, and it's a beautiful pop of color for me as I come out to collect the eggs all through the winter. And then this is our herb berm. We have here a broom, which is, many people don't realize, is an excellent nitrogen fixer. And this is sort of feeding the maple trees and some of the other Oregon grape root that's here. This area being right off the kitchen is where I run to get, I'm in the middle of cooking soup, which I made for you guys. And I was out here collecting parsley, and our basil's gone already this late in the season, but sage and thyme and mint and many other herbs are right here close by. Coming right through. As the garden has matured, there's really this sense of, I think it was the year that we got ducks and rabbits, that we went from having, oh, you have a nice garden, to, oh my gosh, this is a jungle, and it's so vibrant, it just popped, where the amount of growth we have, like this gets cut back in the spring to this little, 4 or 5 foot tall, skinny little thing, and we have this much. This is like 4 to 5 feet of growth on this in one season, because we've built the soil so much. This dogwood area is also where we've done all of our mushrooming, because we have, again, with the really intense summers, often we'll have all of July over 100 degrees here, and we won't have any rain throughout the summer. We get our rains in the spring, and then we're having some unseasonable rain right now. This is very early for us, but this is a nice humid spot for me. When I first moved here, I thought, where in the, I'm from California, there were redwood forests and you could mushroom anywhere, and where it's so dry here. And I finally have a good spot for mushrooming, so that has been really wonderful. So as the garden has grown up, you can't see through the whole distance of the yard, and it's really nice to have all the mature trees and all the different layers have been really, really wonderful. And often when people come, they are very focused on the hardscaping and the work that we did to have everything be visually pleasing, the aesthetic of the garden. And those who, we give a tour in April each year for Earth Day. And the local community comes out, and we start this tour at this spot, and I often explain, you come here, and if you don't have a background in permaculture, you may be thinking, gosh, this is a lovely garden. And instead, when we finish the tour and we make a full circle and we come back to the opening gate, I hope by the end that your perspective of the garden has changed to what an amazingly abundant garden. Many years I have been able to eat 95% of my diet just from what grows on my 0.89 acres. I'm a little under an acre. So it's so much abundance. I think people aren't aware, you go to the store and you're paying your money for food. I just open the back door and come out and go shopping. There's always something. There's always baskets full of food. You just have to know how to identify that food. So one of the things we've done is really focused on perennial crops as well on crypto crops. And crypto crops are the things that you would normally forage for, things that you think of as weeds that we encourage here. So for example, milkweed, which we have some growing right here. This is an experiment we did this year. So I'm just going to quickly show you. These are our mature milkweed. And you can see these milkweed are going to seed. So milkweed is a crop that, these are native. I did not plant these. The birds brought these in, and I recognize them as an excellent crypto crop that can feed me 5 or 6 different vegetables across the whole season. In the spring, when they first come up, the shoots, when they're 8, maybe 10 inches tall, can be cut and used just like asparagus. And then as the plant comes into its blossom, right before the buds open, you can cut those and eat them sort of like broccoli, steam them. Because this plant has latex in it, you do have to cook and discard the cooking water, but the resulting foods are very delicious. Then you have the flowers, which smell amazing. They're a bee magnet. They're also delicious eating, both raw or cooked. Then you have the pods, these, when they're maybe 1 inch or 2 inch and quite firm. These are really fantastic eating. We put up dozens of bags of these to use through the winter in soups and stews. They have a somewhat okra, green bean flavor to my taste. When the pods start to get a little mature, but the seeds are not yet formed, this floss in its immature state is an excellent substitute for cheese, sort of like mozzarella. And you can fool a vegan very easily. They will think that you have fed them actual dairy cheese when it's really just this. You can break open the pods and pull all this out and stick it on the top of a casserole. It will get melty and stringy just like cheese. It's really quite wonderful. When the pods are not quite this big, but they're bigger than when you would eat the whole pod, you can actually use them the way you would use a green pepper. So you take the just barely maturing seeds out, and then you steam the pod and use it to stuff, to make like stuffed pods. So you would put rice, we use grated cauliflower for our rice, and meat and herbs and other vegetables, and then bake them, maybe top them with a red sauce. They're really delicious that way. So here you have a plant that I didn't have to plant. It's a crypto crop because no one else knows that this is a great majority of the vegetables I'm eating from my yard. And this year we started a thing where as soon as we got to the pod stage of this, there's several stands on the property. When we got to the pod stage, we, for lack of a better word, coppiced or chop and dropped all of the milkweed pod on this side. So you can see the plants are at a much younger state. And what we're experimenting with is, can we get mid-season, can we get the spring asparagus stage to come back? And the answer was yes. So we now have, and these are a little bit past that, a couple of weeks past that, but when they were, 8 inches tall, we were again in mid-August harvesting asparagus like it was the beginning of the season. And I'm using the word asparagus just to mean the spear of the milkweed as an edible. So next season we'll definitely play with when we begin coppicing to see if we can get a second blooming and a second pod stage out of it. So water is very essential to the garden. And here we have, this is a recirculating system. We have 3 or 4 different waterfalls in it. This is a bee magnet. We definitely have, there's many people who keep bees near us, but who don't have water provided. And so we usually have it quite cold. We've already had some temperatures down at 30. So unless the sun warms up today, we probably won't be seeing a lot of bees here. But this system is actually driven by some rainwater collection. So we have our roof here, and the downspout that comes right here from this gutter goes along that sort of like depression in the concrete. You see there's a little wood trowel there. It comes here, and then this berm has a biofilter in it. And so the water comes through, and it's clean because I do have an asphalt shingle roof. So the water is clean through a biofilter. It's all grown up now, but there's like a depression all through here. And then it cuts under right here and dumps into the pond. So if we get even the tiniest rain, the pond will raise about 5 inches. So it's been wonderful. It doesn't carry us through July, our driest season, but it does the rest of the year. Pretty much I can harvest the rain and snow and use it to fill the pond, which has been really, really wonderful. So. My egg that we collected is still warm. I'm using it as a hand warmer. It's awesome.
That is awesome.
I'll have to remember that. This is great. So a lot of people think of gardening, and it's like people come, they often look to me about food. That's been my whole career. I teach people about food and the effect of food on the body. And when they come here, they're really looking for the garden. It's like, well, where is the garden? And yeah, I do have 2 or 3 little raised beds over in a spot, but I rarely use them because the whole landscape is the garden. And so when people are thinking, well, where are my vegetables? Because we are a culture that has become overly dependent on annual vegetables. Those annual vegetables were historically, if you go back thousands of years, they were not a tremendously large part of our diet. We ate many more perennial foods. And so, having been very inspired by J. Russell's Tree Crops of Permanent Agriculture, I have an ancient, very stained copy of the book that is just like a Bible. When I first read that many, many years ago, I decided I wanted to try to eat more trees. And so I have spent the last decade really focusing on what trees can I eat, what trees can I plant where there are many edible crops in that tree. And so I've probably planted about 300 different trees over my last 15 years on this particular property. This is a linden. A lot of people don't know this tree. It is a fabulous, fabulous tree for many, many different reasons. One, it's one of the best trees to build soil. It drips. Ash trees also do this. It drips the sap into the soil that feeds the microbiology more so than any other trees do. You'll find more worms and microbiology in the tree ring under a linden tree. This is a columnar one, but often they're very giant, sprawling trees that build amazing soil under them. Ash trees also do this. The leaves of this tree are edible. In the spring, right now, they've gotten quite full of lignans and they would need to be cooked first. But many things that make a good salad in permaculture, like, oh yes, and you can use this in a salad, you would harvest 1 or 2 leaves. You wouldn't make your entire lettuce or salad out of this particular thing. This is not true of linden. This could be the base of your lettuce. You could have the entire salad be these leaves. They're that tasty and delicious. They also can be cooked for spinach, and this time of the year they also can be picked and used for tea throughout the winter. You can coppice this tree, cutting it down, leaving about 8 inches at the bottom, and it will re-sprout up so that your lettuce harvest is at your height, and you don't need to bend over. So as you age, you don't need to harvest, you don't need to plant your lettuce. You can just come out and pick your lettuce and eat it. And that here, when July comes and it gets really hot, these leaves do turn too thick to do that. We have some other perennial crops for salads at that time. This tree also makes fabulous blossom that smells like vanilla. You can use this as a tea. It's very calming in the way that chamomile or passion flower would be calming. It's excellent bee forage. The honey from linden flowers is renowned and very, very delicious. Then it makes little seed pods, and boy, we probably have stripped all of our little seed pods because this tree is the tree that I use to approximate chocolate. Oh gosh, and we may have, maybe on the other one, but we have been picking all the little, they look like little cocoa puffs, little round seed pods, and they have a taste very reminiscent of chocolate. In fact, during the war, when cocoa beans were not available, Hershey's used the pods from the linden tree to make chocolate bars. They are dead ringer for the taste of chocolate. You crush them and need to mix them with a healthy oil. So you can use lard if you have grass-fed or pasture animals to do that. You could use olive oil. You could use coconut oil, which makes a very delicious linden chocolate. You can find those recipes online. It's very excellent. But, this is like one tree, and I have an excellent several crops from this tree. A medicinal that helps me relax, greens for healthy salads, and treats, which is fabulous. If you mix it with the linden flowers, you don't need much by way of sweetener, and it gives it that vanilla flavor that you get from chocolate. So it's wonderful.
Wow.
So, yes. More cryptocrops, dock. We eat a lot of dock. This has been cut back, and now we're having that's what's so wonderful about perennials. Unlike so many of the annuals, you plant it and you get one crop, It's like, why am I going to give much of my yard real estate over to tomatoes? I plant them in the spring. I need to baby them all summer, and then at the end of the summer, I get one crop. Whereas something like my milkweed, I've got 6 or 7 different vegetables from one thing I never have to plant that comes back every year. So I've been very mindful of, this is my real estate. What gets to have a house here, right? And so all of the cryptocrops, these things that many people think of as edible weeds, and many of the perennial vegetables, you get 2 seasons. You get this really abundant, lush growth in the spring. If you chop and drop them, the plant responds by coming back and giving you another crop in the fall. So they've been a staple of my diet for that reason.
Permaculture provides a pathway to abundance that transcends the degenerative problems and systems of today, that allows us to step outside of their system and to be able to provide, connect, and form community at such a high level that we can restore, we can rebuild, and we can regenerate. I'm so excited for you to join us in the Advanced Permaculture Student Online. This year is going to be absolutely incredible. We have so many educators involved. We have so many people involved in this lifetime community. Once you sign up, you're part of that community. You can take it as many times as you like. You can join us in the live over and over again. People do. Folks go from learning to practicing to taking that action to making it real, becoming teachers, making it their career. They're now running a mushroom business. They're now running a landscaping and design business, running events for people to start learning this themselves. They've become teachers. All these options and more, so many more in the regenerative economy are showcased in this course. It's why there's over 70 different educators, because we need to have all those different voices to show the full range of what's possible for you and for everyone. I'm Matt Powers, author, educator, citizen scientist, seed saver, gardener, and family guy. And I teach people all over the world how to live more regeneratively. And it all starts with the Advanced Permaculture Student Online. Join us, join this community, join this course. It will change your life. That's what my students have told me. That's what people have been saying for years. This course changes lives. So join us, learn what's possible, and start on your path into the regenerative future. I'm Matt Powers. Grow abundantly, learn daily, and live regeneratively. And I'll see you inside the Advanced Permaculture Student Online. It starts soon. Click the link below and join us.